Hi, welcome to our Insight series on how to streamline your client's business process with Power Platform. So I'm Joel, your Dynamics 365 and Power Platform team lead at Sherweb, and let me introduce you to Anthony Genticard, president of the Vendere Group.
Well, hi, Joel. Very happy to be here. Let's have fun.
Hi, Anthony. So, Anthony, Vendere Group is part of our Dynamics Partner Network and is specialized in Dynamics 365 for sales, customer service, and now the Power Platform. So, in this session, Anthony, you'll explain how to execute a business process analysis and featuring the everything featured around the Power Platform. So, Anthony, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Joel. First, let's talk a bit about Vendere. Vendere, we've always worked with Dynamics CRM since the product was a beta 1 version of the product. So back 15, 16 years ago, it was still under the Great Plains entity. So we've always been a CRM provider using the Microsoft platform. Since the get-go, we love the architecture, and we always hoped that Microsoft would make it readily available for us to build different products around the platform. So when Microsoft announced a few years back the Power App platform that would become available, we definitely right away jumped in and started doing projects for that. So you need to understand that Dynamics 365, or before Dynamics CRM, is built on the Power App platform. So Microsoft is actually eating their own dog food. Okay, so all the expertise we had on building application and customizations for our customers, our CRM customers, just became readily available for us to do all kinds of other products. So we're using the Power Platform today. We build a membership system based on that Power Platform that's used throughout a lot of organizations in Canada. And we're building more and more tools with the Power Platform. And the Power Platform expanded. So today you have the Power Platform that we're going to be talking about today. We have Power Automate, Power BI, two great tools to integrate with other systems or to do reporting. They just launched a few months back the Power Virtual Agent, which allows you to do chatbots, which is another great tool. So all kinds of a big tool set to be able to help small and mid-sized businesses improve their go-to-market processes, drive better sales, and easily implement the systems that they need.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm really impressed with what they did with these products. Basically, giving the power to people to automate stuff that on a day-to-day basis takes a lot of time and build exactly what you need out of the app and exactly how you want it. That's really impressive. And the Power Virtual Agent, that's something that's really quite impressive. You don't need any technical knowledge. Um, it's very a powerful product.
Yeah, and easy
So
to integrate to your site. Absolutely. Yeah.
exactly. All right, Anthony. So now let's jump directly into the subject. What can it do for the end customer? Because basically that's who we're trying to solve problems for.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you need to understand that Power Apps is still an IT application. It's easy to use, but it's still an IT application with the IT philosophy. So yes, you could use no code. The platform easy to use, but you still need to follow the standard, I would say, IT steps in solving a problem. Okay. Um, so let's take an easy example. Okay. So one of our mandates that we had in 2020 was for nonprofit organizations. So the nonprofit organization, there was a set of 10 of those nonprofit organizations that were food banks, so offering food for people with the low income or with the COVID pandemic that had difficulty because they lost their job, whatnot, to be able to purchase food. The goal of what they wanted to do is very simple. They wanted to offer food to people with low income, but they didn't want that family to go to the 10 different food banks. They wanted the family to go to one food bank and serve as many families as they can, rather than have one family go to the 10 food banks and get a lot of food. So they were trying to, it makes a lot of sense. So the problem they had is identifying those people. So identifying who those people are, when they came, and not that they were trying to limit the fact that people were getting food, but trying, like I said, to serve as many people as possible. So in this case, the goal of the project was quite easy. We want to identify Mr. John Doe that came. He came on Monday, and he came to food bank number 1. So that if he tries to go to food bank number 2 tomorrow, we're gently going to say, listen, I know you have some issues, but no, could you come back maybe Thursday or Friday, to try to like I said, serve as many people. So when we look at the phases of the project, the first phase of any project is the planning phase, and the planning phase is when you decide what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so what's the problem you're trying to solve? So in this case, identifying the people, knowing when they came, so that they don't know that they serve one or two food banks, but not all 10. The second phase of any project with Power Apps is the design phase. So in the design phase, that's when you try to understand what's the information you're trying to collect. So in our case, we're trying to collect the name of the family or the person that's coming, okay, register that name and the date when they came, okay? So that's the information or the design, if I could say, in terms of database that we need. And when we look at the Power App platform, it's fun because the Power App platform already comes with some out-of-the-box entities. So the Power Platform comes out, for example, with a contact entity. So here we go. So we're able to capture the name of the person that came. And it also comes with an activity entity that's linked to it, an activity table that's linked to it. So we're able to track when the person came. So without any code, without any change in design, we had a design phase that was ready to use.
Basically, the intelligence and the structure is all there.
Definitely, to do all kinds of stuff out of the box, it's quite easy to do. So in the build phase, in our case, it was quite easy. We didn't need to add tables or entities. It's much a question of removing fields that were there out of the box, okay, that we didn't need. Okay, so fields that were not really useful for the task that we're trying to achieve. So we cleaned up the forms to make sure we had two easy forms to manage for the users. So when you build, the first thing you do is what we call creating an app. So you create a menu structure of what the people are gonna do. You create the tables, you design your form, and if you need to add any business logic, you add business logic. In our case, the biggest business logic we had is the possibility for the end users to be able to inquire find a name of that contact within the database to see what the history of that person.
Well, that's great. Basically, you were doing that before, though, Anthony. Basically, when you were deploying Dynamics 365 for sales, you were kind of thinking of that whole logic and basically personalizing the system for what people needed to do. Now, the good thing is that you're doing exactly what they're asking, and all in a small and affordable package. That's great.
Yeah, definitely.
So Anthony, would you say that someone who's comfortable on Excel, for example, would be able to understand Power Apps?
Definitely. On the technical level, definitely. If you got somebody who's proficient in Excel, or I would say any end user tool, so somebody who's very good in even in PowerPoint, or that is able to use technology, they're going to ramp up and learn Power App extremely quickly. Because it's just a question of assembling things to be able to
Query
answer
things.
to answer your business process.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. So just to complete, Joel, I forgot to say when you're in the building stage, we were talking about the business logic previously. You could also add charge dashboards, security if you want to secure any information that doesn't need to be accessible by different people. So now that we know what we wanted to do, that we did the design, that we did the build, well, the last two phases, of course, the testing phase, because any application that you build, you need to have a testing phase, make sure that it does what you want. And then, of course, it's the question of deploying the system and training the different people, making sure there's no little changes, little tweaks that needs to be done to the application so that people are happy to use the system.
Great.
The one thing that's very fun, especially if you start a Power App project, and I'll talk about ourselves, for example. So when we start doing Power Apps for our customers, the customer sees the ease of doing tools like that, and basically they want more and more and more because they see how easy to use and how low cost it is to be able to answer very unique business questions or business issues that they have. So it's kind of a never-ending project, if I could say, because they're always going to ask you more and more stuff. So it's very interesting for us consultants and SI folks to go into that Power App route.
Mm. Going back to my question on the Excel part, so basically someone who has knowledge on Excel has the kind of the mindset, the technical mindset to understand Power Apps. But I guess one thing that might be missing is all the experience that you guys have, for example, on business processes. So I guess that's one of the drawbacks of these types of solution. When they're promoted, they're Microsoft's trying to tell everybody that you can use Power Apps, which is true as long as you have that technical knowledge on Excel, for example. But you might not have that business approach that you guys have. So that's one thing that I think it's worth mentioning.
Definitely, it's definitely one of the, I won't say drawbacks, one of the challenges of implementing a Power Platform. I would say it's not the question because it's Power Platform. I would say it's any IT solution.
Hmm.
Even if I'm using an IT solution with Excel and I'm doing macros and whatnot, if I don't understand the business process and I'm not able to design in my head what the business process is supposed to how we're supposed to achieve that business process, uh, whatever tool, how simple and complex you're using of the tool, you're going to have that issue. So the biggest issue that faces any company, of course, is understanding the business, and and when you're dealing with a customer, the end users often have difficulty explaining what they want, okay, to the IT people, and the IT people not having a clear business mind or not having been involved in that particular business will have trouble understanding. So you get the solution where sometimes you got the blind leading the blind. We're trying to avoid that, but that is one thing that we
That's where
do.
your experience comes in. That's where
Oh,
the Dynamics 365 experience that you've had over the many years really comes in and makes sense out of all that Power Platform solution.
definitely. And if you're looking at starting a Power App practice, well, it's always nice to try to find that one or two people within your organization that necessarily is not necessarily your best technical person, but is definitely your best business person, so that they understand how these business processes flow within the organizations and are better able to better relate to what the person is trying to do.
And I remember us chatting, and you were saying when you start your Power Apps adventure, there's a lot of added value that you can bring. So basically, once you start, you can then go with the Power BI application and start bringing that great reporting tool and Power Automate, and you go in and automate stuff that people are doing on a daily basis. So there's a lot of added value when you get that business sense.
Definitely, Joel. Like I said, it becomes a never-ending project because you get more and more and more different projects because you could offer so many things. And we haven't talked about portals. We haven't talked about AI,
Hmm.
which are all available now at very low cost on the Power Platform.
So Anthony, what are some of the main challenges when implementing Power Platform?
Well, we already talked, Joel, about the first challenge, right? Which is
Yeah.
getting to know the business knowledge. Another challenge that we have is having a very good end user who knows what he wants, which is fantastic. Okay, he tells you what you want and you build it exactly the way you want, but realizing that these people haven't really talked to their colleagues. So when you implement the system, you implement a fantastic system that works, but you realize that doesn't have a fit because you trusted one user without validating with the other user. So there's always the challenge of making sure that the person who's talking to you actually went and talk to the other people, or that you're at least trying to socialize or show that system to the other users to get their feedback.
Hmm.
And the third is not really knowing what the technology can do for you. Okay,
Ah, true. Yeah.
yeah, and that's something that unfortunately you could only learn through experience. Okay, there's documentation, you could learn documentation, but you learn more and more about the platform um, uh, as you try and as you do projects. So maybe it's wise as you start to and just to see what the platform does for you, to invest a few days, 1 or 2 days, and build an application for you, for your own organization, just to help you explore the technology, see what it could do for you, and try to get a better knowledge of what the technology could do. And of course, Microsoft builds new feature, introduces new features on a monthly basis. It's never ending story also for us to learn those new features. But at least as you get working with the system, you're going to get more and more information. You could reach out to people through the different websites at Microsoft to get help, to get knowledge, to get assistance. Sherweb could refer you to people. We help a lot of partners also in what they can do. So there's a lot of information of what the platform can do, but there's nothing like trying it yourself to learn. So I would say those are the three main issues that you need to look at in building Power Apps applications.
So basically, you can't jump into something like this without having knowledge of what or hands-on practice, for example, around that solution. You need to go in and take the time to learn the platform. You need to ask people like you and your team, Anthony, for help. Basically, I'm just thinking out loud, but AI Builder, for example, that goes in, watches all technology when you work with it, and kind of builds an automation around it. Um, there's a lot of things you don't know what you don't know, basically. So you need to reach out to people with expertise such as your team, so they can come in, listen to what you have as difficulties, and build something and suggest something around that, and basically also open up your mind to other aspects of that solution, which is exactly why there's two ways of dealing with these applications. Basically, you go at it and you learn it by yourself, or you go out and reach out to someone who has as much experience as you guys have, and then you kind of learn what's possible.
Oh, definitely. Now, Joel, you took the most complex one by talking about AI, which I'd say if we look at all the different products within the Power Platform, I would say that our AI module is the one that's most complex to not to use, but to understand the results and to interpret the results and to make sure that what you're building actually makes sense. But definitely, two routes: the people could learn by their own, or they could use referred partners like us that Sherweb refers us to a lot of your different customers that we could help. We do all kinds of stuff. We could do projects for your partners. We could white label those projects, so we could work project under their names. We're extremely partner friendly. We do a lot of project for partners until those partners learn and develop their own practice. So it's for us, it's something that we're more than happy to do. And as the community of Power Platform and Power users increases, the amount of projects will increase. So for us, the more people that does Power apps, it's better for business for everyone. So that's why we're very, very happy to help Shareware partners in building their own practice.
And that's exactly where Sherweb can help. We have a team dedicated to these products. We understand the technology, we understand how they work, we understand business processes also. We question, we ask, we think with partners, with end customers. And then once we figured it out, then we connect the right people together. And that's where you come in. But basically, Sherweb, we're there as project managers up to a certain point until we pass the project along to your team, for example, or other teams that we have.
Yep.
So that's great. Thanks for coming in, Anthony. Thanks for taking the time to explain why you build that practice and how it is basically on a day-to-day basis when you're working with projects.
Always a pleasure, Joel. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Take care.